Which verse were we reading? 56. 55 done. Thank you. Okay. Now Bodhisattva is going into what constitutes emptiness. What is emptiness? And explaining so what we, with respect to Shiri Heruka, what we learned is this selflessness of person and selflessness of phenomena. How many of you remember that? Shiri Heruka, right? Which of the syllables represent the selflessness of person? Ru. Which of the syllable represent the selflessness of phenomena? He. Very good. And the non-duality? Ka. And the mind which ceases non-duality? Shiri. Very good. Okay. So, in other words, we need to see the substance of a person and substance of phenomena. So here we see that reasons that establish the view of emptiness, establishing the substance of a person. So first the substance of a person. And if you study Acharya Chandrakriti's text, Madhyamagavattara, the sequence is just altered. Acharya Chandrakriti explains the substance of phenomena first, substance of person later. And here, Bodhisattva, substance of the person first and phenomena later. And there's no difference. It's just, we have to study, reflect, meditate, and realize it. It doesn't matter. And many people, they just keep debating which will be realized first. Second, practice it, realize it. Done. Why do you have to just fight over this? Which should I eat first? The bread or the rice? Which first? First should rice. So, no, eat it. Yeah, just practice it, study it, reflect, meditate. Sometimes serves a person, sometimes some phenomena. It's not just one way till you realize, okay, one of the two is fixed. So we have to do service of here, person first. So service of person. Only then realize, then you go to the phenomena. No, this is not how it works. So sometimes you walk in the entrance to yourself. And then how long it will take? We never know. Some people, it may take like few months, few years, few lifetimes, depending on your past background in your past lives. And of course, many other factors involved. For example, like somebody who's very agitated, somebody who's, they say, naturally agitated. That's a different story. But deliberately trying to be cunning, nasty towards others, and so forth, for them to realize emptiness will take a long time. Because emptiness is to make the mind go more to the natural state. And this deliberately trying to be unnice towards others, saying the backbiting others and putting others down and being jealous of others, and deliberately. So it is like spontaneous happening. So these, I'm very, this is not nice. Look, this is how my mind spontaneously reacts, so in a jealous form, in anger, in attachment, and so forth. And of course, fear, self-conscious, so forth. Spontaneous come. That's a different story. But deliberately trying to disrupt somebody else, they say, the verbally abusing others, and then the first thing, the mother, saying, shouting at the mother, and all these things. These are deliberate attempts. With the deliberate attempts, you have to stop these first. If you don't stop this, then seeing emptiness will take a long time. So this is something that we need to work on, and be more compassionate. Be more compassionate, and in whatever little way you can be of some benefit to other people, to your mom, to your brother, to your father, mother, husband, wife, children, or neighbors, even tiny insects. Just see how you can be compassionate towards them. Be kind to them. So these will take you closer towards the true nature of mind. And the wisdom of emptiness is the one which actually takes you very close to your mind. And so if you try to go in this direction, going towards the true nature of the mind, then the wisdom of emptiness will be very easy to flow with you. So to see emptiness will not be too long. So these are the things that we need to remember. Okay, so with this in mind, so here, selflessness of person explained first, And how it is explained here, substance of person, is very much how it is done by Bodhisattva, the Acharya Chandrakirti and Arya Nagarjuna. So for this, what I'd like to share with you is that the Acharya Chandrakirti established emptiness by rejecting what is known as the seven modes. Established the emptiness or established the substanceless person by rejecting the seven modes. Let me repeat it. Acharya Chandrakirti explained the substanceless person by rejecting the seven modes. The reasoning to reject seven modes to establish emptiness or to establish the substanceless person. The reasoning of rejecting the seven modes to establish rejecting the seven modes to establish the substance of the person. So when we say the person, primarily yourself, but you can apply to any other person, not necessarily yourself, but primarily yourself, the substance of person and substance of phenomena with which you interact. So the first person. So this, in order to understand what okay, let's put it like this. Say the I or Dorji as the topic. Dorji, I want to see the emptiness of myself. Dorji as the topic, and the predicate, it is empty of objective existence because now you give the reasons, or you put the sign mean the reasons, because it is not one with its aggregates, not intrinsically one with its aggregates, or so put it better to not intrinsically one with its aggregates. Okay, so these seven rejections, I'll just put it in a very easy way for us to remember very quickly. Note it down. Say, first you write rejecting, and all these 7 points are to be rejected. Rejecting, number one, rejecting 7 points. Number one, oneness. Number two, differentness. Oneness, differentness, dependent, dependee, possession. Let me repeat it. Oneness, differentness, dependent, dependee, possession / appropriation. These two mean the same, but we need to know both the words. Possession / appropriation. The collection, and the special shape. Let me repeat it. Oneness, differentness, dependent, dependee, possession / appropriation, collection, and special shape. Okay. So since that we have already studied these to some extent in the earlier days, now it's become relatively easier now. Okay. How many of you already wrote these 7 rejections? Good. Okay, so what we say is Dorji is the topic. He is not or objectively existent or intrinsically existent because he is not one. He is not intrinsically one with his parts. So these 7, now look, what's this first one? Oneness. So I say that not in rejecting, not intrinsically one with his parts. Then not intrinsically different from its parts, differentness, number 2. Then what is number 3? Dependent. He is not intrinsically dependent on his parts. Then he is not intrinsically a dependee of the parts. He is not intrinsically in possession of the parts. Then the collection of his parts is not him. And then the special shape of him is not him. Okay, so this is how we put. Now we have to reject each one of these seven. Each one of these seven. Okay, now if you're done with your writing, okay. So first we think of the self, and later you can think of yourself, your friends, your dad, mom, whoever. The self, and first, okay, just see how this self appears to you. As objectively real or like a dream. So how does it appear? As objectively real. So thus far what we said is that when we say emptiness, emptiness of what? Emptiness of what? Emptiness of objective existence, intrinsic existence, inherent existence, true existence, independent existence, so forth. The emptiness of objective existence. So now, how do we evaluate? Anyone, how do we evaluate? Because we see the self as object real. And and what we said is that seeing and believing this self to be objectively real, this is self-grasping ignorance. So how do we know that this is self-grasping ignorance? In other words, how do we know that this self does not exist the way it appears as objectively real? How do we know it does not exist? How do we evaluate? The question is, it should not be how do we know. The first question is, how do we evaluate whether or not this self exists as objectively the way it appears to us? Anyone? How do we evaluate? Okay, Raman? Sergey?
Geshe, I'm very hesitant to give an answer, but I think we use our mind.
Okay, we use our mind. That's interesting. Good. I cannot say no. He's right. You have to use mind. Anyone else? Okay, Prerak.
Usually we conduct the ultimate analysis of the object or the self. So we go closer to it and so on and so forth.
Why conduct ultimate analysis? Why?
To understand that it is not objectively real.
Why?
So that when we go closer, we'll see that, for example, as you took the example of Dorji, if we go closer, then who is Dorji? Is it the hand, the head, the parts, etc., and so on. So if we continue in that fashion, then we'll not be able to locate Dorji.
Okay, what Prerak said is just perfect. The only thing is when I say why, I'm not actually asking for the reason. So what I'm asking is that usually finally we have to get conviction, and you get a conviction through examples. Give the example and then give the reason. It becomes very convincing, because when example is not given, things are at times it's very complicated to convince the other person. When the examples are given, instant person will hit the meaning. You getting it? Anyone else? Dedala, what example?
Krishna, ultimate analysis, like...
What example? Say, if you see me in water, then you said something before. You said something. What did you say?
Water and mirage.
Yes. So how?
By getting closer, we can see if it's really water.
Let's start from the A, B, C, D.
So if I see Geshe is in water
from far away,
from distance, far away, but I don't know if it's water or if it's a mirage. So I can only know if I get closer to Geshe.
Oh, this is the only way by which to evaluate if I'm in water or what you are seeing is mirage, is by coming closer to where I am standing. Then?
And then I will get to know if there's really water, if it's a mirage.
How?
By seeing that you're not in water. There's no water there.
There's no water, it's just totally dry. You conclude that. So example is so important. So for all these syllogisms, all these reasons, syllogisms, always it should be accompanied by a very convincing the example. It's very strange. So I'm sure there are many of you who also teach the Venerable Pedunla, you taught in the university as a professor. So when you teach, right, sometimes to make the point across to the student, it takes a long time. When you give a simple example, instantly the student understands. Okay, example is very important. So this is what I'm waiting. Otherwise, what he said is perfectly right. Okay, so the best way by which to check evaluate if I truly exist, you truly exist, objective, real or not, is by the way and the manner in which Arya Nagarjuna taught. What is the line? And Dedan, you remember the line? Namsala, you remember the line? Huh? What happened, Namsala? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, let's all say this again. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Again. Mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Again. Mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, at least you have planted 3 seeds in your mind. Next time you forget it, it's fine, okay. But the imprints are there. Next time somebody says, instantly it will wake up. 3 seeds will be easier to wake up the seeds than only just 1 seed. Okay. So, by going, they say by going closer, which is technically known as subjecting the person to ultimate analysis. By doing so, you end up seeing the 6 elements. You end up seeing the 6 elements. And some of you may think that, oh, there should be some essence inside. 6 elements, not the there's something inside there. So this is something which we really need to think of very objectively. Don't just hold on to it. Some people may hold on to it very strongly. It's not your mistake. These things are the tendencies. Hold on to it. So just try to think of the table. The table, top line of the table and left of the table. And what you end up seeing, the table through the close analysis or ultimate analysis, we just seeing the top line and the legs. And where is some essence? There's no essence there. And likewise the house, the walls, the doors, the windows, ceilings, floor. You remove each one of them. There's no house, there's no essence there. But with the beings, we just get a feeling that there should be some essence there. In fact, I personally would say that more than the being, the heart, when you see the heart separate, tick, 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 and you just see the atoms, there's no tick, 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 right? Oh, there's no atoms, there's something there. There should be something there. That was very strongly coming to me one time. So likewise for many people, this self, there should be some self there. It's because of this, there are many philosophical traditions or the religious traditions that they have a sense of self, which is so solid with the essence. Even when you leave your body and mind, then it leaves separately. So this is what the Buddha taught at one point of such a self in order to cope with the propensity or the inclination of some people. So, and this belief is the one which holds us in samsara, because this belief makes us hold something objective there, So this is what grasping. You grasp at it, then the emotions are stirred. Attachment, aversion, and so forth. Emotions are stirred with this. So these are the things that we need to remember. And the final point is that don't rush to say that no, such a self doesn't exist. Don't rush to that state. Just do analysis. You don't have to accept You don't have to reject. Just give yourself second thought. It's not about what the Buddha taught. It's not about what somebody else taught. It's your well-being. It is your ultimate well-being, to get into your miseries and to have the maximum happiness. So keep thinking about these, and then as the sense of self, the self-identification dissolves, what kind of ease that you get, just look at it, observe it yourself. You don't have to what do you call it, advertise, broadcast. Just keep it to yourself, observe, and when the sense of self dissolves, the peace that you get, just see to that. And so otherwise, even in Buddhism, within Buddhism, we say Vaibhashika, Sautrandaka, Chittamatra, Savatandaka, they all believe in some degree of objective self there. All. So it's an extremely skillful way. So we just try to say unentangle this, the grip, the adherence, slowly unentangle that, and gradually then we see that there's nothing really objectively exists, including the self. Okay, so let us, some of us may find it a little difficult. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just do this exercise, and you don't have to just, what is that? It must be true, So now, yes, there's some clash can happen. Just study this, and sometimes reflect on this, and see that why I'm so special with respect to the tables, house, trees. So there, I see the table there. But when with subjecting into ultimate analysis, the table is nowhere to be seen. With the house, it is there. Subjecting to ultimate analysis, again it dissolves, it's nowhere to be seen. Indicating that the object does not exist objectively. Nothing intrinsic there, just your mind creates the illusion. So likewise, why the self is so special? Again, it's like I have the body, I have the mind, and that's it. The body makes me male, non-male, female, non-female, and the mind makes me intelligent, not intelligent, compassionate, compassionate. That's it. Besides that, what is there? Yes, I. So think like this. So it's for your well-being. It's not about so adhering to this tradition, that is about your well-being. And finally, if you can really replicate this philosophy so well, and then still you see that this doesn't hold true, you can reject it. It's not about anything. It's about your well-being, your ultimate fearlessness. Okay. Buddhist mind, then the first analysis is the rejection of the oneness with the oneness with the parts, meaning your aggregates. So you see that subjective self, you end up seeing the body and the mind. Within the body, you see the element of earth, water, fire, air, space, and the consciousness is the mind. So with these, none of these is to be identified as intrinsically as the self, not one. Not one with the self is not one with these parts, meaning that these parts are not objectively the self, not self from the object. Then the next is what is it next? Differentness. So if these parts which constitute the self, if these are not the self, remove these parts, then what is left there as different? A self as different from these parts also doesn't make sense, because remove the parts, remove the body, you are not a male, you are not female. Remove your mind, you are not kind, not unkind, not intelligent, not intelligent. So all these concepts dissolve when your body and mind are taken out. So without these 6 elements, there's nothing that to identify as a self. There's no self as different from these 6 elements. This is number 2. What is number 3? Dependent. Okay, I, the person, is dependent on my parts, my aggregates, body and the mind. How? To say that I'm male, I'm female, it's dependent on the body. You agree? You agree? Okay, so, and to say that I'm kind, I'm not kind, I'm intelligent, I'm not intelligent, it's dependent on the mind. Yes? So, With this, that I'm dependent on the mind, I'm dependent on the body, but I'm not objectively dependent on the body. Okay, this is very complicated. Anyone who would like to help me? How would you help us, help all of us to know that I'm not objectively dependent? I'm not objectively dependent on my parts. Anyone who likes to help us? Does you like to help? No? Okay, anyone? Okay, now if there's nobody, then Geshe should be there. Okay, only one Geshe. Yeah. Okay, all the rest of us listen to Getinla.
Well, it might be. So because
Getinla's playing a trick. He said maybe, right? Don't attack me too much. Okay.
So if there was going to be a self that was objectively dependent on its parts, then there first has to be the objectively identifiable self as different from the parts, to be a dependent, to be something
Why?
dependent.
Why?
Because objective dependence means dependence in and of itself, within its own right, from its own side. So that the self there is from its own side depending. So it has to already be.
So objective dependency, for the objective dependency, why there should be the two distinct things? Why?
Because objective dependence would mean, it's just like, to be frank, an inner contradiction in the very term. It's an oxymoron. Yeah.
Why?
Because objective means independently dependent, right? Independent dependent.
No. It's like, say, objective dependent, it is dependent, but this dependency is not made by the mind, it's from the object. What's wrong with this?
Right, but it's still, so then you're saying not from the mind, from the object.
No, you're Prasangika. You're thinking that everybody's a Prasangika. Everybody's not Prasangika. So how to explain this non-Prasangika? For Prasangika, you say it's oxymoron. Okay.
I'm stuck.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, let's listen to Ilango. Ilango, keep in mind that first don't think that everybody is Prasangika.
Yeah, no, I'm giving a simple example.
Okay, good.
There is a person A.
Yes.
He met with an accident or something and his leg is amputated.
Yes.
Even after he has lost his leg, he's still person A. So being a person does not depend on individual parts.
Being a person not dependent on individual parts, are you sure?
Even after the leg is gone, he's still person A. We still identify.
That I agree with you, but the person dependent on his parts or not?
Yes.
So objectively it's dependent. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, here.
If we're saying objectively, we should look from the side from the object.
Yes.
So what part of your body should be that object? If that's leg?
No. All you said the five aggregates, the element earth, water, fire, air, space, all, and consciousness. You are dependent on these 6 elements.
So you're not talking about the parts like an arm?
No, same.
Ear.
Say the arms and so forth, they are your parts. Also the 6 elements are also your parts.
So any of them can be replaced?
So how can you reject that how can you say that I am not objectively dependent on my parts or on your 6 elements?
So we should look from the side of the object. And if we get that object and try to replace it, and if you are still Dorji, so you are not objectively dependent on that.
Dependent, of course, why not? So I'm dependent on my body, I'm dependent on my mind.
What part of the body you are
Whole
dependent?
body. I'm a male. My body is male body, so therefore I'm a male.
So any part of your body can be replaced.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, but do you agree with me that you being a male is because your body is male? You agree? Not agree?
Agree.
You are dependent on the body. We'll start.
But it's not objectively.
Why not?
Because,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, Ladana, yes.
Geshe, I just would like to try. That to say dependent, there should be two things, like the self-dependent on the aggregates. So first, we have to be sure that whether aggregates itself exists or not. So when we subject the aggregates also to the ultimate analysis, like say for example, say form, like from the 5 aggregates, the form, when we look closer to the form, we don't even find form because then we end up seeing the 6 elements of the form. Even those 6 elements also does not exist if we subject that 6 element also to ultimate analysis. So mind depending, like say I depending on the form does not exist. So there's nothing to be dependent. So how
Are you not dependent on your form?
I do depend on my form in conventional analysis.
Okay, so let's say the band. Denzing Sela? Here, Denzing Sela there.
I'll also try. So, like Lajara said, in order for the self or for Dorji to be dependent on the aggregates, objectively, the aggregate should exist objectively. But
Why? I did not say that the self is dependent on the objectively existent aggregates. I didn't say that. I said the self is not objectively dependent on the aggregates.
so if the aggregates don't objectively exist, then how can the self be objectively dependent on them? If
Okay,
there's no
let's say
aggregates-
that I'm objectively dependent on the objective self, objective aggregates. So what?
but the objective aggregates themselves don't exist.
Okay, so which means that in order to establish emptiness, you have to already understand emptiness. Is what I'm saying?
Why? Why?
Because you have already rejected objective aggregates. So you've already understood emptiness. So you are not in the process. You already got there. Right? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. Okay. So do you agree with me that what the Deconstructing said is that, so here in all these proposition of these self-set modes, is the belief that this self exists objectively. You agree? Not agree? If the self exists objectively, then which of the two analysis works? Ultimate analysis, conventional analysis. Ultimate analysis works. You're getting, if it does exist objectively, it should be seen by the ultimate analysis. Now, subjecting this self to ultimate analysis, then you talk about the dependency. For the dependency, do you agree with me that there should be two things? As Ladana said, there should be two things. For example, I depend on my walking stick. There should be the I and the walking stick. Two things. Do you agree? There should be two things. If there are no two things, just one dependence makes no sense. There should be two things. Now, with the ultimate analysis, what happens to the self? Self is nowhere to be seen. Only the 6 elements are left. Now, there are no two things. In the eyes of the ultimate analysis, there are no two things. Only one. 6 elements, the parts. But the whole is not there in the eyes of the ultimate analysis. You getting it? So when the whole and the parts, the two things are not there, dependency and dependent independency makes no sense. You getting it? So how many of you understood this? Minimum 70% and more. Minimum 70% and more. 50% and more. Understand? 50% and more. Okay, good. So the point is, let me repeat it. To say first, what we notice that Dependent and when you say dependent and dependent and dependee, for these two things, when you talk about the dependency, the phenomenon of dependency, there should be two things. Dependent and dependee, there should be two things. You agree? Okay. Now, when we say that those who propose the 7 possible objects of existence, for them, the belief is that things should exist objectively. If it does exist objectively, it must be seen by the ultimate analysis. Now, the mind which decides what is there is the ultimate analysis. In the eyes of the ultimate analysis, to say that the objective dependence is there should be two things. In the eyes of the ultimate analysis. In the eyes of ultimate analysis, because the ultimate analysis, self is nowhere to be seen. Only the 6 elements are left. So there are no two things. Only one thing is left. Because of this, the dependency makes no sense. As such, the self as dependent or the self as the dependee, both do not make any sense. You getting it? Okay. So that is which number? Number 3 and 4. What is number 5? Possession or appropriation. Again the same. The self as the appropriator and 6 elements as appropriated. Again same thing. To say appropriation, there should be the act of appropriation. What is appropriated and what appropriates. There should be two things again. So in the eyes of ultimate analysis, there should be appropriator and appropriated. And appropriator, the self, is not there in the eyes of ultimate analysis. So therefore, appropriation makes no sense. Done. What is next? Collection. Okay, this is complicated. This is complicated. So collection of the parts, collection of the 6 elements is a person. How do you reject it? Reasons. Okay, over there.
I would say that if I took the parts and arranged them in a different order, I wouldn't call it the same thing again.
Okay.
So just like if I took a car's wheels off and all its doors off and I laid them down in a pile, we wouldn't call it a car anymore.
Your name?
Andrew.
Okay, how many agree with Andrew? Okay. Okay. Okay, there's a smart person who said that the parts, collection of the parts, not in a random form, but with a special configuration. That collection is the self. How do you reject it? Anyone? Okay. Igor.
So while we are assembling the parts, let's say we can assemble the parts one by one, at what point we say it's the self? We call it in the name.
You're asking, you won't give answer.
I'm asking.
Okay. So I'm looking for
guess.
the answer.
Okay.
Is there anyone who can give me answer? I'm fed up with the question. Right? So that since I don't get the answer, I ask this question. If you ask me more, again, the questions multiply. Okay, Brinslav.
So we could reject the special configuration in such a way that, like, if we see something, let's say, like we see a painting, and if we if we go from really far away, we can see like a certain image. Like, for example, it's a painting of Mona Lisa. But then when we come really close by, we can actually see that let me rephrase it, please. So if we are very close by, we could see a picture, like, for example, of Mona Lisa. But then if we go even closer, like, we could see that, hold on one second, let me see. No, I meant, yes, if we go even closer, we can see that it's not actually Mona Lisa, but it's actually some like rubber or something like that that makes an illusion that it is Mona Lisa from really far away. So, or another example could be ourselves. Like we see ourselves, but if we larger ourselves like 100 times or 1,000 times, we would see like all this space between. So people would not be able to really, it would not be the same person that like we normally see, like we see, for example, you right now.
But there's something there.
But then that special recollection is not like, it's like that special configuration of the atoms, like in a way that like, for example, you are right here, like if we enlarge it much larger, like for example, 1,000 times, right? It would still like, it wouldn't be the same like you that we are trying to reject.
Why not?
Because like we would see like the space, for example, between molecules and basically it would like when a person would come close by.
But still you have to interact with this person, right? Also, you see the space and so forth if you interact with the person.
Yes,
so it's there.
It is there, but it looks different. It's different in it, what it seems. Okay.
Okay, over there, John. Okay, let's listen to John. Okay.
So I hope this is correct. Since it's a collection of...
John, I don't think you're from NCC, NDC, NMC. Very good. I want to listen to you.
Since we're talking about the collection of 5 different aggregates,
yes,
it would be problematic as that would be 5 different selves.
It is not only but are you the collection of the aggregates or not?
Am I the collection in total
Yes.
of the aggregates?
Yes.
No.
Oh, there's not. Why not? The total. I'm not saying the individual. Individual aggregates, I agree with you. The total.
I'm not objectively the collection of the 5
Why not?
aggregates. Because objective existence doesn't exist.
Okay. Okay, no, I'm not seeing anyone because that is full of n something. Right? I can see all with n something. Okay. Okay, here is not for n. Yes. Mike.
No n.
If there's nn, raise your hands. Nn, meaning non n. Yes.
Isn't it quite similar in that, let's say I'm the mind and I have a thought, but then I posit there's a thinker having a thought, not that the thought itself just arises by virtue of itself. So when I posit I'm a collection, I'm positing that each individual arising, like sound, there's a hearer hearing the sound, not merely hearing. Wouldn't that be, then how do I posit the self when each thing that I'm positing...
When you hear the sound, so what?
Yeah, so sound arises, I have a thought, but then sound arises,
yes.
or let's say thought, it's usually a thought.
So it's a sound, you get a thought.
Oh yeah.
Thought of a sound.
Forget sound. It's too confusing for me. I think, and there's a thought that arises, and
You just get a thought of a sound.
Not for sound.
Then thought of a flower.
Geshe, I messed it up. Yeah,
So
say
thought of
flower.
a flower.
Yeah, I think flower. And the thought arises.
Thought of a flower arises.
It arises, yes. And this is what I would posit the collection. All my thoughts and my physical experiences, they're all happening.
That's not true.
The entire collection of every aggregate, everything that arises in my experience, I posit that there is something, there's an experiencer and the experience.
It's true.
Yes, but I'm saying this can't be true.
Huh?
I'm saying this isn't true.
Why not?
Because, first case, I think you can go a little bit with impermanence on this. That in every single instance...
No, it's impermanent.
Yes.
The first moment of the collection
Yes.
is the self. Second moment of the collection is the self. Only difference is that the second moment is one moment older.
Yes, but I don't understand that when we're saying who's the appropriator and the appropriation, or who's the dependent and the dependee, why is it that then, just because there's a collection of all the aggregates, that then when I have a thought, That's why then is there now a subject that's different to the object? I don't
That's
understand.
not just they distracted. So why there is the collection of the aggregates?
Yeah.
That's a fact. Nobody can deny this.
Yes.
Collection of the aggregates in a special configuration is there. Again, this is undeniable.
Yes.
How is this special configuration of the aggregates not the self? Why not?
It's not the self because I think this is cheating, but I think the self is imputed onto that which arises in
This
the
has to be proven.
Geshe-la, why is it that before when we were saying...
No, don't go there.
Okay,
Say-
we're not going back to the previous
So
analysis.
why I'm saying is that,
Okay.
so when you say why before, so these before they were rejected by the Prasangika, and I'm coming from the non-Prasangika position. I'm asking, for me,
Yes.
the special configuration of the collection of the parts is the self. So the Prasangika says, no, it's not true. So how not true? This is the question that I'm asking. And you are bringing the Prasangika position and you are forcing me to accept it.
Ultimate, but isn't that what we did for 3 and 4 that we said when you
Okay.
subject it to ultimate analysis? Wasn't
Okay,
that
so
the same?
So okay, let's say, so what? So what I miss it, with the subjectiveness of ultimate analysis, then we see the collection of the parts.
Yes.
So the not only collection of parts in with a special configuration.
Yes.
So that special configuration of the collection of parts is the self. So what's the problem?
I'll pass on, but I'll just repeat. I'm not sure the flow of my
Okay.
argument.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, now I'm not seeing anyone. It's all from NN. Not NN, it's all from single N. Right? Okay. So what we do is that for this, this is very important. This is very important. This is very important. And the Then Shunyata, you want to say something? Why not? No, I know you're okay.
Geshe, I'll try. I think Brensla was going
No, don't say Brensla. Don't quote anybody. Say it directly.
So Geshe, so
If something goes wrong, she'll blame Brenslav.
so I think how I would explain it, like for example, if the special configuration of the parts of the self is the person, or let's say, we talk about any object, if the special configuration of the parts of that object is the object, so then when we see the special configuration of the parts, we should be able to see the object also,
Why?
because that is the object, right?
For example, say when we see this, should we see the phenomena?
Yeah.
Should we see the emptiness of objective existence? Because it is empty of objective existence.
No, if we if we see, let's say, if we say that the special configuration of the parts is the person,
Then
so then when you
see that, you should see the person.
I mean, it's synonymous, right? But they are not synonymous. Geshe. Means it's like whatever is the special configuration of the part should be the person, right?
Okay, now she reached the point of stubbornness. When she reached that point, nobody has to push her. She will push her herself. Okay, tell
But
me.
Geshe, this flyer and the emptiness of the flyer, they are not
Not
synonymous.
emptiness. Flyer is that it is empty of objective existence. Are you seeing
So
the empty
what
of
are-
objective existence flyer?
Are you seeing the emptiness of the object?
No, that empty, it being empty of objective existence.
No, I'm not seeing because they are.
Because it is it being the empty of objective existence.
I'm not saying because there is no pervasion, Geshe.
Why?
Because they have to be synonymous. I said, like whatever is.
Why?
Because what is the argument in 7 modes? If you see the 7th one, so whatever is the collection, whatever is the special whatever is
So
the.
do you mean to say that when you see the product, you are seeing impermanence?
Unnecessary.
These two are synonymous.
Yeah, yeah. I give up.
Okay. So what happened? Okay, Rajvi, you understand something? So she's going to defend you.
Geshe, I don't want to do the debate part, but I just want to say the example of when we look at the forest from distance, it looks forest, but when we go inside the forest, each tree is not the forest, so that's why.
Okay, so I'll leave it on you. Think about it, and come back the next time. Huh? Huh? Are you from N? Okay, then I'm not seeing any. My eyes don't see the N. You getting it? Okay, the Shambhala.
It is not mine. It is me trying to understand Lama Tsongkhapa.
Okay.
But the collection and the special shape and configuration, it means the shape, and this is a physical property, like of a physical object. And then if you go about a person, that means just the body without the mind. And then this is and the person is not just the body. So this could not be the person.
No, what I'm saying is special configuration of the 6 elements. 6 elements include the consciousness.
But this configuration is like is a shape. You cannot put
No,
the
this
configuration.
is special configuration. Special configuration only of the body is a shape. If it's not only the body, it's not necessarily a shape.
But when you say configuration of a mind, how can that be?
No, configuration of the components. For example, say the mind has many segments. Don't put all the previous minds later. Then it is just the chaotic configuration. So put in proper sequence, it becomes a proper sequence. The non-chaotic configuration of the mind. That's fine.
But what about the sequence between the body and the mind?
No, what you said is you're quoting the Lama Tsongkhapa. From there, he only talked about the physical form. You're getting it? So when you add the physical form, is fine. Then it comes to the shape and so forth. If you add the mind, that special configuration of the body with the mind added to this, that becomes the person. So what's the issue? Okay, so we think about it. You think about it, and you can come. We have 2 more days, right? We have 2 more days. Come the next. Okay, so now let's turn to page 33, verse 56. Okay, if there were something called a self, meaning something called a self as intrinsically or as objectively as a self. It's not just a self, it's an objective self. So oftentimes we need to qualify them with what is to be negated. Objective self, there would be something to be afraid, meaning that if there is the objective self, then you should be afraid of something, because that I'm afraid. When you say, look, this is very important. I'm afraid of this situation. I'm afraid. You hold on to self as object real. When you say, I'm afraid, you think of the emptiness of the self. When this concept of self dissolves, the fear dissolves. You're getting it? When you see this, when you are saying that, when you are in the grip of the fear, and you just give yourself a little space and think of the self, where is the self? You do this analysis, as explained here. And then when you get a glimpse of emptiness of the self, that the self does not exist objectively, instantly the fear dissolves. What attracts the fear is seeing the self as objectively real. That attracts the fear. So, but if the self does exist objectively, then there's no way you can reject it. Then the fear will inalienably arise within you, and you cannot reject this fear. So, if there's something to be called as objective self, there would be something to be afraid of to be afraid, that I'm afraid. But as one finds self nowhere, meaning self nowhere objectively. We don't find the self nowhere objectively. Who is there to experience the fear? This is very important. Okay. And in the context of the clinical psychology, these are extremely helpful. And of course, the clinical psychologists, they themselves have to get conviction in this emptiness concept, and then see how much you can guide the peer with the people going through schizophrenia, people going through the stress, anxiety, depression, and so forth. So you have to see how much the person can digest. To that extent, these are extremely healing. This would be like not just a temporary, the medicines or the temporary explanation. They'll be long, they can heal the person in the long term. Okay, next. Now, rejecting the oneness. Reject the oneness. Where is the self amongst in the eyes of the ultimate analysis, where is the self? So you see, you go into the body through ultimate analysis, you see the teeth, verse 57. The teeth, hair, nails are not the self in the eyes of the ultimate analysis. But don't just say that teeth is not a self. So simply by these is not really ultimate analysis. So ultimate analysis is where you know what the self is on the conventional level, and then you go closer. The manner in which Nagarjuna taught, if the mirage were to be the self, if the mirage to be the water, one not those close by the mirage see water. By going beyond the conventionalities, you go there, and then you see that the teeth, hair, and nails are not seen as the self by the ultimate analysis, nor is self the bones of blood. No self is neither mucus nor phlegm, nor is self lymph or pus. Self is not fat, the fat, no sweat, neither is self the lungs nor liver. Self is not any of the other visceral organs, neither is self feces nor urine. Flesh and skin are not a self, nor is self heat or wind or heat or air. In no way is self one of the bodily orifices, nor are any of the 6 types of consciousness a self. So going into detail of what you're seeing with ultimate analysis, you go into ultimate analysis. So what you see, nowhere you see anything that you pinpoint to that is not identified as a self. Refutation to self is postulated by the non-Buddhist standholders. Okay, so the non-Buddhist standholders, one of the traditions is the Samkhya. The Samkhyas, for them, they talk about the consciousness, the consciousness as the self, as a self, and that also they say that this self is permanent. This self is permanent. For them, the self is permanent, and they call it Prakriti. Prakriti meaning the primal substance, like a created God, but it's not exactly created God as in the Judeo-Christian tradition. It's not exactly that. It's very different. In fact, the Samkhya's understanding of the Creator is very interesting. So for them, the Creator, okay, technically, let's call it in English, primal substance, or in Tibetan we call it Chitso, the primal substance. Primal substance is permanent, and the self is permanent, and they are in total. The primal substance is self, and total 25 the principles, or 25 the entities. So, but they say that the self is permanent, and they also say the sound is permanent. This is interesting. Sound is permanent. Self is permanent. Verse number 60. And if the mind perceiving sound were permanent, as Samkhyas assert, the sound would be recognized at all times. Say, for example, if you meaning the self, which they call as permanent, and what you hear as a sound, if that is permanent, you should be hearing the sound at all times. Do you agree? If the sound is permanent, and you are permanent, the self. So of these 25 principles or 25 entities, what they say is that the creator, primal substance, is one which creates. It creates everything except the self and the primal substance. These two are not created. Rest, everything, the flower, your house, your food, your car, everything is created by the Prakriti. And interestingly, it is said that if you understand the concept of nirvana, they may not call it nirvana, they call it moksha. If you understand the concept of moksha according to Samkhya, it will be very helpful for you to understand the concept of liberation or nirvana in the context of Prasangika, the mid period. If you understand the concept of moksha, liberation, moksha means liberation, according to Samkhya tradition. Samkhya is one of the old ancient Indian philosophical traditions. If you understand the concept of the moksha or the liberation from the point of view of this Samkhya, as presented by Samkhya, it becomes very easy for you to understand. You can relate this very easily with the understanding of the liberation or nirvana in the context of Prasangika. Okay, I'm going to just quickly explain to you. Okay, what is the opposite of moksha, nirvana, liberation? Samsara. Just tell me what kind of samsara. Samsara, you like it or you don't like it? Samsara, you like it or you don't like it? You don't like it. Like what? Give me an example quick. Just quick. Huh? Peaceful fire. A pit of fire. No, don't go there, pit of fire. No, what the element of samsara which you don't like? The suffering, sickness, unreliability of yourself or somebody, your partner, right? Your husband, your wife, your children, your parents, your friends, right? I say the business partners. Oh, it's a big problem, right? My friend. So he always look for a business partner, and once he gets a business partner, again he's being what? Cheated. So many times. Okay, so whatever you think of, also you have your own thoughts. Think of something. Okay, 3 points. Think of three things in your life which you don't like. Right? You don't have to tell me. Maybe it's your wife or children, maybe it's your husband or whatever. Think of that. You don't tell me. Because you tell me, you know that you may be afraid. Right? Okay, you think of that. Now, Samkhyas. What they say is that, say, Prakriti, this entity, like is a creator. This creator, his job is to trap you in samsara. Right? So, how many of you, when you are busy with your work, you cannot do your Dhamma practice properly? Raise hands. Why you cannot do your Dhamma practice properly as satisfactorily? Because the work keeps you busy, right? So Samkhya, what is that? Prakriti keeps you busy. Keeps you busy so that you'll be distracted from looking for moksha. Okay, so it keeps you busy. How? So in what way you're busy? Tell me. Quick. You said that I'm busy so that I cannot do my Dhamma practice on time. Huh? Like what? The phone. Prakriti made it. You're getting it? So we get glued to it. 15 minutes becomes 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. We get glued. Prakriti made it. It's very efficient, modern, the production of the Prakriti. Right? That simply distracted us from going to nirvana. Anything else? Huh? Alcohol, yes. All these things Prakriti made so that you are dragged, you know. And then say for some people, Family obligations, like what? Like what? Like what? To look for money, right? To look for money. Money is created by Prakriti, right? And then to do grocery, shopping, cleaning. For the cleaning, you need a house. If you don't have a house, you don't have to clean, right? Clean house created by Prakriti, right? So all these are created to keep you occupied and busy so that you will not get time to think of moksha. So Prakriti is very happy. You're getting it? So one day, you are not created by Prakriti, but your body is created by Prakriti. Your body is created by Prakriti. And then in the winters, it throws the cold, so that you have to go for the heating system. In the summers in Delhi, it throws the heat, so that you have to go for the cooling system. You're getting it? Okay. So you are kept so busy. And some people, some of them coming, they said meet with the teachings, and then they go to samadhi meditation. With the samadhi, they deliberately cut off themselves from the things which were created by Prakriti to deceive us. So with this, then they go to samadhi. With the samadhi, meditative concentration, they attain clairvoyance to see the reality, deeper reality. And then he or she starts to look, who is creating all these things? Then he or she discovers the secret of the Prakriti. And the Prakriti is watching you also. Right? The Prakriti is also watching you. And then Prakriti senses, oh, now, okay, this person is discovering my secret, right? Secret. Then the moment you discover that Prakriti is doing all these things, instantly, quickly, the Prakriti will withdraw all the manifestations, emanations. Withdraw all. Your body and everything, withdraw everything, because he or she felt so shy, so embarrassed, that now they know my secret. Withdraw all, pull all the. So pull your body, so you don't have to worry of the hunger. You don't worry you don't look for food. You don't look for house. You don't look for heating system, cooling system. This is totally irrelevant. Almost like 99% of your engagement becomes irrelevant. You're getting it? You've become free. And all these things, everything, all things have been pulled by the Prakriti. You alone are left. So without any worries, anything which can make you suffer. So that is moksha. It's an amazing concept. Now in the concept of Prasangika, this morning we did it. In the experience of emptiness, what happens? All your sickness, aging, death, everything dissolves. Right? Not dissolve in the sense that they come and they dissolve, not like this, but in the experience of ultimate analysis, these things don't exist. You come to discover the reality. They don't exist objectively. So with this wisdom, in this wisdom, then all these what affects you otherwise, they become non-existent with respect to this wisdom. So you are least affected by external factors. So, and if you can sustain that experience, that is moksha, that is liberation. It is like what the Samkhyas say, that the Prakriti would withdraw everything. And then you are left with this, just the I. But in Prasangika, even the I is not left with respect to ultimate analysis, wisdom of emptiness, ultimate analysis. But the I is still there, don't worry. Although with respect to you, the I dissolves, that nothing which, this concept is not that I'm non-existent. No. In that experience, this experience is known as inexpressible experience. Inexpressible. It's not that nothing can express it. The nature of that has been inexpressible. So there are two things. Inability for others to express it, and the nature of that being inexpressible. These two are different. Some people, they confuse between the two things. So therefore people say the ultimate reality cannot be expressed. So therefore the words cannot express ultimate reality. No matter how much you study, you cannot express ultimate reality. So it's just waste of time. This is what many people confuse because of their failure to go through the systematic studies. So we need to make a distinction when the ultimate reality is described as inexpressible, not because that others cannot express it. The nature of that is inexpressible. People can express that as inexpressible. You're getting it? So, nature of being inexpressible and the person's inability to express, these two are different. You can express the inexpressible as inexpressible. You can express it. You're getting it? These are the nuances you will get only through systematic studies. Without this systematic study, simply by seeing these words by the masters, then people say that, why to study? It is inexpressible. The words cannot express. These studies are all expressions. These are all, say, the naivety of the failure to distinguish between inability on the part of the subject to express something and the object being in the nature of inexpressibility. These two are different. They cannot distinguish the two. So they confuse between the two. Okay. Now, 60, verse 60, page number 34. And if the mind perceiving the sound were mind here from the Samkhya, the mind here is, they would borrow the English word more consciousness than the mind. Consciousness. Okay. So this consciousness, equated with the self, as a self, a permanent self. Perceiving sound were permanent, as Samkhya assert. Thus, sound would be cognizant at all times. But what is cognized when bereft from the object? For example, let's say your mind. Okay. What happened? I knocked and sound came up. So did you hear sound? You hear the sound? Your mind heard the sound? Okay. So your conscious heard the sound. Okay. Now, what are you doing? What are you saying? I moved the flower. You're seeing the flower. So your mind, which was thinking of the sound, it has shifted its object to the flower. So now the sound is no more its object. You're getting it? Now the sound is no more the object of this mind. This mind is a different object. So it says that but what is cognized when bereft of an object to be cognized? Say when the mind moves this object from the sound to the flower, what's the object? The flower, not the sound. So now this mind is bereft of the sound as the object. So what does it cognize then? What does it cognize? It doesn't cognize the sound. It cognizes something else. So which means that this mind, which cognizes the sound first, then the flower next, no sound, the mind is changing. But they said that this consciousness is permanent. So this is contradiction. Okay. But what is cognized when bereft of the object to be cognized? By what means could it be called a cognizer? So if the permanent mind, if the mind cognizes sound, it should always cognize the sound. When the sound is gone, then it should become like the subject without the mind. Without the mind. If you say, no, there's a subject, there's object, no, subject without object. This object is a different object, the flower, which means it is changed, it's impermanent. If you say the subject is not changed, then it should become the subject without the object. So how can they be the cognizer without cognize? 61. If something could be a cognizer without an object of cognition, then absurdly a stick would also be a cognizer. So like a stick or a flower should be a cognizer. Okay. And therefore, without being associated with an object of cognition, it is certain that cognition is non-existent. 62. Suppose we say it cognizes a sight meaning like the flower and so forth. Earlier it cognizes the sound. Now it recognizes the sight, like the flower. Well, why does it also hear at the time? Why does it not hear at the time? Because it should be you said it's a permanent entity. That earlier it was hearing the sound, it should continue to hear the sound. While seeing the flower, it should also hear the sound. Why not? If you answer, because the sound is not nearby, then you say, no, now the sound is gone. Earlier he knocked, sound is there, now the sound is not there. If you answer, because the sound is not nearby, well then it is no longer a cognizer of it. It's not a no cognizer of sound. If it's not a cognizer of sound, then it has changed. Earlier cognizer of sound, now cognizer of sight. 63. How can something having the nature of being a cognizer of sound, okay, nature meaning true nature as a permanent nature of being a cognizer of sound, become the cognizer of sight, from the sound to the sight, like the flower. By virtue of imputation, a single person is a father and a son, and not due to his absolute nature. So say the mind cognizing a flower, mind cognizing a sound. This is all imputed on the basis of, it's purely imputation, not permanently as a, say, the sound cognizer and so forth. Likewise, like the father and the son. These are all imputed on the basis of the relativity and not due to the absolute nature or permanent nature. 64. Likewise, the state of, okay, now this is another thing. This is another thing. They talk about the three qualities. Three qualities. Dul meaning particles. Mun is the darkness. Yingtop is the sattva. Or say the sattva, rajas and tamas. Sattva, rajas, the three qualities. Okay, three qualities. Say for example, like the water. Water is made of three atoms. What three atoms? 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So 3 put together, it becomes a water molecule. So this is their concept. They say that everything, so what the physics would say, that everything is made of electrons, protons, neutrons, the quarks, the basic elementary particles. So what they say is everything except for, okay, the self is not made of these three qualities. Otherwise, the rest, including the Prakriti himself, everything is constituted of these three basic components. What are the three basic components? Sattva, rajas, and tamas. These three qualities. You're getting it? These, like the basic components, electrons, protons, neutrons, like this. So likewise, the state of equilibrium of courage. So these three qualities, when they are in equilibrium state, the courage, the sattva, or say in terms of feelings is a pleasure, the particles, rajas, or the pain, and the darkness, tamas, neutral sensation, as an absolute nature. When these three things are equilibrium state, these three things, okay, this is their position, right? There's no harm for us to know that. When these three things, like in an equilibrium state, then you call it the primal substance, meaning the creator is a creator. The darkness and neutral sensation as absolutely is okay. Likewise, the state of equilibrium of the courage, the particles of darkness is, so this equilibrium state is not in the form the father, mother, son, daughter, and so forth. And a cognizer of a sight has never been seen that is a fundamental nature connected with the cognizer of a sound. So, for them, the cognizer, the mind, is seen as permanent. A permanent. And what is permanent to see sound means always to be seeing the sound. So when you see the sound and then move to see the sight, is it seeing the sound? Is it hearing the sound? It's not hearing the sound. But if you insist that it is permanent, is hearing the sound, but in reality we never saw that. Say, when the sound stops, the mind does not comprehend this sound anymore. So, that this contradicts with the conventional world. It is not the reality. It's not seen there. What you're saying is just your philosophical position. In reality, it's not the case. 65. Suppose you persist, like a dancer, it is still itself, but is seen in another guise. So what it says is that, so the dancer, or let's say say a drama, somebody as the performer in a drama, an actor. Actor comes as the doctor. The next comes as the nurse. Same actor in different guise. So likewise, same mind seeing the sound is actually in different guise is seeing the sight. Right? So it doesn't make any sense. Makes sense? Okay. But first we have to listen to what they are saying. Listen to what they're saying to see if... So like a dancer, it is still itself, but is seen in another guise. Well then, it would be impermanent. So first no guise, then it becomes guise, this has changed. It should be impermanent. And suppose you clarify the other guise is the very same entity, it's the same thing. Say the one which sees one which hears the sound is the one actually which sees the sight, the flower is the one actually who was hearing the sound. It's the same thing. So, well then it would be impermanent. And suppose you clarify the other guise is the very same entity, well then its oneness in fundamental nature is the oneness that did not exist before. Okay. 66. Suppose you explain, but its other modes of perceptions are not true. Then please describe its own innate nature. So when you say that, then you change. So the philosophers, the logicians, the philosophers, so when the debate is happening, like what is happening here, right? You have your own position. You believe that this is correct, and somebody pushes you with a very deeper questions. Then you keep changing your position. Yes, you agree? So this is what happens to the philosophers also. And so this is what happens to Asian philosophers, like with logicians, plus even in the Western philosophers also, the Western philosophers, they meet with the other philosophers, they discuss, and then they see that there's a flaw in the position, they change. For example, David Hume himself, you read his books, you see that the earlier positions and later positions are very different. So this is the change that's happening there. Okay. So 66. But its other modes of perceptions are not true. Then please describe its own. So say what you see as the mind seeing the sight. So other perceptions. Then if you say that these are not true, then what is the true nature of this mind? And please describe its own innate nature. Suppose you answer, it is a cognizer. It is a cognizer. Well, then absurdly it would follow that all perceptions are one. Okay, so this is more like the conclusion part. But it says that, okay, if seeing this as a sight, as a flower, as table and so forth, these are not true, then what is the true nature? True nature is just cut off from all the objects. It's just this self. And this self is what? This self is permanent and partless. This is a very important point. This is what they believe, permanent and partless. The more important is permanent, of course, is permanent. On top of that, it is partless. So, if it's partless, then they say, when this self of yours and self of mine, when two come together, if these two are partless, two come together, they should conflate. You're getting it? Two selves come together, they should conflate. You're getting it? This is an extremely important concept to reject the partlessness. Okay. How many understood this? If two things are partless, then these two come together, they should conflate. What does it mean, conflate? Okay, really from Apple. Okay, Branislav is from Apple company. Right, Apple company engineer. So what he said is so precise. What do you say? Conflate means? Become one. So someone says that together is little vague. Become one. You getting it? Okay. Two things becoming one. Two apples go like this, become one apple. You getting it? Likewise, if there are two things there, partless and partless, they come together, they then conflict, they become one object. Okay, how many of you, for how many of you is this makes sense? Makes sense? How many of you know? I don't understand how they become one. Raise and be honest. Okay, this is very important. Okay, I'm going to explain it here. Okay, who would like to explain it? Anyone? Who likes to explain it? Two things which are partless, they come together, they should become one. Who likes to explain? Raise hands. Canela? Yes.
Okay, well, this...
Okay, raise hands. Those who said that, I don't understand what you are saying. Raise hands. Okay, so they should be happy.
Okay, so this explanation kind of makes the most sense when you're talking about something with physical extension in
yes.
space, right?
Yeah.
So if we're looking at some material object, let's say a particle,
okay,
and it has physical extension.
Would you mind standing and showing face down? Yes, please. So that they can see you,
right?
And you will know whether they got it or not. Okay, down, because the majority are down there.
Oh. See, I didn't even see who was. Okay,
raise hands.
Raise your hand.
Raise hands.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So if you have something with physical extension in space, like a particle, let's say a proton, then it has, let's just pretend for now that it's perfectly spherical. Then you have the sphere, right? So you have points of contact, right? A point of contact over here, one over here, right? Because it's a sphere. So then when you have two spherical objects joined together, you can have, might as well use the fist, always a great example. You can have the two objects touch. When the two objects touch on their points of contact, then they don't conflate, right? They don't become just one object because they have parts, right? What are the parts? Even though it's a sphere, you still can say, well, there's a part that's the point of contact on top, point of contact on the bottom, whatever you want to call it. The south side, the north side, you can call it point A, point B, or you can plant a, Cartesian plane and say it's, the x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, however you want to do it, it's got those parts, right? Now, let's imagine a particle without any parts. Okay? Now just take a second to imagine this. That's the thing. You have to actually be able to imagine the particle without any parts. Okay? So is it a sphere? It's lost all definability, right? So you try to put two of them together, but there's no point of contact over, right? The right side or this point and this point, they no longer have points of contact to be able to touch and form a more massive object that remain distinct from each other, right? The two particles, since now they're partless, there's not, a far side, a near side, a north side, a south side. In other words, they lost their dimensionality or extension. So instead, they just conflate into one. Did that make any sense to anyone? One person. Okay, one person got it.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tiana. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tiana. Thank you. Okay, so if two persons are partless, the two persons meet, meeting point, no meeting point. There should not be two parts. Meeting point, this is no meeting point. If there's a meeting point and no meeting point, like this, then if there are 2 points, meeting point, non-meeting points, then it should keep growing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it keeps growing. But if there's no meeting point and non-meeting points, then all should be meeting points. If all should be meeting points like this, then this is only possible way. If this like this, invariably you see there's a meeting point and there's a non-meeting point. If there's a meeting point, non-meeting point, this is not partless, it is with parts. So, everything becomes meeting points. If there's one point, then there should be, everything should become the meeting point, because there should be no meeting point and non-meeting point. If there are 2 points, meeting and non-meeting, there should have parts, 2 parts. So partless means there should be no 2 parts. So if it meets at 1 point, meet at every point, then they should become identical. Okay, then all the people should become one. All the beings should become one, because they are all partless. The self is the word Samkhya believes as particle, not particle, as partless. Okay. Not only that, self is partless, permanent, and even the Prakriti, the creator, is also partless and permanent. Even these two, Prakriti and the self, also should become one. If that becomes one, each one of us should become Prakriti. These are all the contradictions. You're getting it? These are all the contradictions. And I would say that whether today there are the Samkhya philosophers who really believe in this, it doesn't matter. If we learn these things, our intelligence keeps growing. And then when our intelligence grows, what happens? Our hardware, okay, good. Our hardware becomes improvised. When your hardware becomes sophisticated, then the sophisticated software from Aranigarjuna and these things will be extremely effective. And to be very honest, it was like several years ago, 4 years ago, when I was in a conference, I literally felt that we are being spoon-fed by the great Narada Masters. All these legacies is amazing. Okay, 67. Further, what is mind? What is mind meaning? The person. The person. What is mind meaning? The person. What lacks mind meaning? The Prakriti. Prakriti, the creator. What lacks the mind? Referring to Prakriti. Prakriti is partless, what they believe is partless and permanent. And the self, what has mind, the self, is also partless and permanent. So if these two are partless particle, the partless and permanent, then when the two meet, they should conflate, they should become one. Further, what is mind, the self, and what lacks mind, Prakriti, those two would in fact become the same thing, would conflate, because the existence would be the same, meaning that they meet and the existence meeting, no meeting, there should be no 2 points. So they should exist as, with all as meeting points, which means they should become one. And if the individual identities were false, then what could be the shared basis? So if they're individual basis, okay, this is the being, this is Prakriti, the distinction. If you say these distinctions are, say, the false, which means that, then what is the shared distinction? So in what way you say that one is creator and one is the self, which partakes in all the experiences. Okay, we stop here. Teta Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. Diatao Begaze, Ma Begaze, Ranzasamonga de So, Diatao Begaze, Ma Begaze, Ranzasamonga de So, Diatao Begaze, Diatao Begaze, Ma Begaze, Ranzasamonga de So, Diatao Begaze, Ma Begaze, Ranzasamonga de So, Yatao Begaze, Maha Begaze, Ranza Samunga de Swaha, Yatao Begaze, Maha Begaze, Ranza Samunga de So, 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 Yatao Begaze, Ma Begaze, Ranzasamunga 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 de So, Om Dare Du Re Soha, 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 Om Dare Du Re Soha. Okay, fun direction prayer. Page 52. I dedicate the marriage thus gathered to treasure realization that is in the prayers of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the three times, and to the upholding the doctrine of scripture and insight, and all lives through the fourth of this merit, never separate from the four wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the two stages. From our recollections, vast space that have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief breathing Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom is blinded by ignorance. Okay, say with respect to emptiness, let's say that when we take shower, why we take shower? To clean ourselves. But so there are three things there. One, the body which needs to be cleansed, and the dirt to be removed, and the water which removes the dirt. There are three things. Yes, you agree? Okay. So just try to subject all these three to ultimate analysis. Just try it. You're getting it? Try this in your real life when you take shower. Just give us a little time when you, or say when the water comes from the what is that, shower tap, or with the jug you put the water in whatever you do. Say the water which is supposed to be cleansing my body is just a bunch of atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons. And then you put in there, and the dirt that you are supposed to be removing, they're also electrons, protons, neutrons. And the electrons, protons, neutrons of the dirt and the electrons, protons, neutrons of the water, there's no difference. And electrons, protons, neutrons of your body, which is to be cleansed, there's no difference. So it is like using water to remove water to make the water clean. It doesn't make any sense. You're getting it? Just think of it very seriously. And mentally, if you feel a little disturbed, with the uneasy, that's very true. What is washed? Why? So you are keeping your, what you call the bunch of atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, you call the body as intact. So, and the bunch of electrons, protons, you're washing away. Why don't? If these are to be intact, these also be intact. Don't throw them. Right? And if the bunch of water, bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons you used to wash as a water, but this is a bunch of electrons, protons, neutrons. If you can use them to wash away, then if you can use this dirt, electrons, protons, neutrons, put on you, and you think that you're being washed. But so that's very true. So the washing doesn't make any sense, right? And if that's very true, it's just illusion-like. This is one part, emptiness part. Where there's full emptiness, that's something we need to reflect on. But at least this is one part. Next part, undeniably, if you don't take shower, you come here, people will stare at you. When you take shower, people will not stare at you. There is undeniable difference there. Undeniable functionality is there. You getting it? Oh, it's just a bunch of atoms, same. So what difference, right? And then you come and then see. There's a difference there. So where lies this difference? That difference, which is obvious difference. They do not see you taking shower. They do not see you not taking shower. But from your presence, they could feel that you have not taken shower. Right? So where lies this difference? There is something there. Something undeniable fact there. Fact there, which is not within the range of when you see them on the atomic level. So what is that thing that the other person is seeing? And there is undeniable fact. You cannot deny this fact. That is the dependent origination, the functional world. And the other one, yes, that's very true, it's just atoms. Where is it? Where's washing? That is the emptiness part. Emptiness part and the dependent origination, functionality of the world, these should not contradict. If these two contradict, you either fall into nihilism or absolutism. So, when will that happen, that these two not contradict, they complement each other, is when you understand emptiness. At that point, you've understood emptiness perfectly well. Till that point, we have to continue, even though, say, you think of yourself empty and goosebumps come to you, but if you cannot explain the functionality on the basis of the emptiness that you're seeing, even though the very emptiness, goosebumps, the cold waves, all these experiences are there, still you understand emptiness is not complete, but it is on the proper track. You're feeling something, and it does help you, but it is not the complete understanding of emptiness. So you have to still persevere, study more, reflect more, meditate more, and if possible, try to meet with, say, the people who are really intelligent, who are really into Dharma, very kind person, who are not crooked. You're getting it? So crooked means their mind is distorted against the reality, against emptiness reality. So therefore you try to meet with those people, discuss with them, listen to them, learn from them, share. This is extremely important. Then at one point you see that everything is like illusion. Everything is like illusion, yet the functionality is so efficaciously operating. When you see that, at that point Lama Tsongkhapa described that as having understood emptiness perfectly well.